A dramatic escalation in the Canada-U.S. trade war. The two nations have failed to reach an agreement following days of furious negotiations after critical talks collapsed in the 11th hour. That means punishing 50% U.S. tariffs have officially taken effect on $28 billion worth of Canadian products, targeting a slate of goods ranging from dairy products to cement and even hockey sticks. U.S. Trade Representative Jazan Grewal placed the blame on Canada, saying Ottawa declined to finalize the trade deal under the terms established earlier in the week. Prime Minister Mark Carney, on the other hand, revealed that U.S. negotiators made last-minute changes to the agreement, condemning the proposed terms, calling them unfair, uneconomic, and calling into question the reliability of any deal, while also vowing a tariff-for-tariff response. This, of course, has left many businesses feeling vulnerable and on edge. Joining us now to discuss this impact that it'll have on small to medium businesses is Ryan Mallough. He's the Vice President of Legislative Affairs at the Canadian Federation of Independent Business. Thanks so much for joining us today, Ryan.
Thanks for having me.
So let's begin with your immediate reaction to the collapse in talks. How are you and the members feeling about the outcome? Did you see it coming?
So I think based on the news we were hearing sort of late Friday afternoon, well into Friday evening, it looked like all signs pointed to a deal. I think there's going to be a lot of folks waking up across the country and seeing the news here on Saturday saying, this is not quite what we expected. But our members have been clear from the start. They wasn't just any deal. They wanted the right deal, the best deal. And if that wasn't what it was, then they knew that, this was a potential outcome.
Okay, and we also know the products being tariffed are unlike, previous products. And the list ranges widely from consumer goods to industrial essentials like cement. So which small business sectors do you anticipate will feel the sharpest, most immediate pain from these tariffs?
So I think it's going to be quite broad. It's not necessarily the sectors, but those businesses that have the heaviest reliance on American clients. For example, throughout this week, I've been talking to an antiques dealer in BC who's saying, like 80% of their clientele is in the States. And if these tariff hits, they might go under immediately. Cable manufacturer in Ontario saying that if this tariff hits, they might not go under, but they haven't laid anybody off in over 25 years, and now they might need to revisit that decision. So we know that the impact is going to be quite broad. The list is very broad. And important to note, too, it's not just exporters now. If Canada is vowing counter tariffs, importers as well. And we know many more of our members, almost half of our members that do trade, are importing from the States, and that's going to have a big impact.
Let's talk about the response a little more. So Prime Minister Mark Carney has, as you mentioned, promised a dollar retaliation against U.S. goods. Do you think that's a practical response, or will it hurt businesses furthermore?
So I think it's certainly an understandable response, but we do know from the counter tariffs in 2025, those have an outsized impact on our members. And again, the majority of our members that are doing trade, I think it's near 20% are exporting, is closer to 50% that are importing. So it has a much broader impact. Of course, there's still uncertainty has been the word of at least the last week, if not the last 18 months. But still uncertainty in terms of what products are covered, what that looks like. So we and our members will be watching very closely for details on that, as well as any support programs to help mitigate those impacts going forward.
Beyond these retaliatory measures, what concrete immediate relief is the CFIB hoping to receive from the federal government right now, that will help your small to medium businesses?
So we're still waiting on some details too, just in terms of assessing what it is this looks like. We know that small businesses will need relief. We have been championing tax relief. A cut to the small business tax rate, I think, would be very helpful. At the same time, though, we also know that the relief can't look like what it's looked like up to this point. A lot of the regional tariff response initiatives, while helpful for some businesses, really exclude a lot of smaller businesses. And these tariffs, these 50% tariffs that have just taken effect, outsizedly, I think, impact small businesses. So we need to make sure that any programs, any support are targeted and, very importantly, accessible for those businesses.
Okay, Ryan, thank you so much for your time and insight today.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
That is Ryan Mallough, Vice President of Legislative Affairs at the Canadian Federation of Independent Business.